in the fake prison because you're free.
I am,
You're
exactly.
Free. You're free in spirit and in fake prison.
It's going to be some special effects here.
I know, right? The smoky.
Gosh, yeah, no, it was nice. I was on just with Greg and Charlie.
Yeah. Because you're free. There we go. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I think we're live now. So
yeah, it was live. Yeah, no, I was just on with Charlie and Greg. Greg and I were supposed to just do our sort of one post the election, or while the election was going on, and then it just sort of turned out that we asked Charlie last minute. A lot of different emotions going on today, Marie. Of course, people were pinning their hopes on how this election would pan out, and I think we've all learned a lesson today, myself included, a very big lesson, because I too was hoping that, we would see a resolve today, and that happily ever after, as it were. Now, that's not to mean that I'm despondent at all. I just learned something about how I'm evolving in this journey. And that's what we're doing consistently, every day, evolving, every day being tested with our strength, our resilience, everything constantly. And when we come out at the other side of this, we're going to really appreciate these times, because we're going to see things in so many different ways and think, wow, I get that. I get why that happened this way. And one of the things I said just earlier on, Marie, which is really important in this journey with this whole thing with Biden coming in, the inauguration, the queue, just the whole saga, the whole story, and we're sitting there holding on to timelines or hoping that something's going to happen and anticipating by a certain time, and especially today that, we're going to see like a movie really play out, and the helicopters are going to come in and people are probably going to arrest, and it's just going to be this real life movie. We've set ourselves up for a fall, because there's been a lot of media, social media circulation, and when of information. I'm not saying it's misinformation. It's up to us to discern that information and really look at it and say, right, well, if this is high level information and this is going to happen, why would it be so free flowing on social media? Right. Yeah, because if it's a very military, Right. Do you know, so we're getting kind of carried away because of all these Q drops and, I mean, I don't know, I can't read them, but, the people that we follow, for example, are sort of, whether they're sort of mentioning time frames or not, or we're kind of seeking their guidance or whatever it is. I mean, even for myself, I always start off by saying I just know nothing, and I'm just a normie that's just, like everyone else. It's like, what the hell is going on? And let's just all hold hands in this movement of the truth getting out. And that's the main thing, Marie. That's what we want now, anticipating how it's going to happen, and all of that is just woo.
Yeah, it's intense. What you're speaking to really, I was listening just the tail end of that show just now, and it reminds me of really like how we want this to be true, because there's some way of like our own affirmation that we haven't gone crazy, or we haven't gone down, we haven't chosen the wrong side. And I think that's okay. I think until we somehow flush that out, we can't really be open to the possibilities of it playing out the way that it's best from a view that we can't necessarily see from yet. And so, I mean, for me, like, I didn't want to watch any of it because of this. And I haven't. And I just got out of another interview too with Al Bradley, who I love so much. Yeah. But here's what I think what's happening is they want us, like Charlie was just saying, to experience the worst of it, like the darkest. And me watching that, or anyone who watched that, like, you've got to alchemize that energy now, because you have now seen like literally a satanic ritual playing itself out.
Yeah.
And it's not only a movie, because you've enrolled in a different narrative, you're in it. So you experienced something very heavy today for your psyche, for your spirit, for your overall mood and enjoyment of the now moment, of the present moment. And so that's why I didn't even want to have any of that imaging in my reality. Now, even if it was like awesome, with the guys in the helicopters and the US military, and like, even if it was that, I don't know. I mean, maybe, yeah, I would have put it on if all you guys were like, hey, it's happening. Yeah, I probably would have. But that's the only show I want to watch.
Yeah,
And that's the only show I think all of us need to dial into and feel into that, because we're anchoring in something that is so immense. It's
yeah,
huge that we
yeah.
can't get distracted by. And I know Charlie's been talking about this, and I did a while ago. I stopped getting enrolled in the deets because it was taking me out of the faith and the trust that this was done. And so I wanted to title this show Living in the Question While Knowing the Answer, because I
Yeah.
know, Miss Alpa Soni, the
I
answer.
do. I do. I told you I know nothing.
But spiritually and psychologically and emotionally and mentally that only love is real, that like this is God's plan for the salvation of the world. And we are remembering, yes, we are God, but we are a part of God. So we didn't create God. We don't get to tell God how salvation needs to work. We just get to be a part of that. And that's the blessing. And that's what I'm really resonating on and vibing from. I feel so high from it. I feel so
I think,
protected
yeah,
and
you've done remarkably well from when we had that first
remember.
chat. The very first one, then we had the one with Sasha that was amazing. And then you've just
Right.
done phenomenally well. I'm so proud of you, Marie. Like you're just glowing, you look beautiful. I love listening to you. You seem very vibrant. And I agree with everything you say. However, there's this thing with myself. So there's that side, the spiritual plane, and I just have this inner gnosis, and I'm riding the rainbow waves, as I call it. But there is also this sense of enjoyment while I say that I'm in the sort of digital front line, yeah, of the war, because this is a war on our consciousness and a spiritual war. And while I've had this sort of, I'm enjoying trying to decipher what's going to happen, how it's
It's
going to
fun.
happen, and it's been fun. And then the exchanges over Facebook and all of that. I try to like have this exuberant nature, which sense of humor is very important to me. I think everyone can tell that now. But I think once you understand your part in this, that's
Mm.
really important. And I really want to sort of say to people that don't put pressure on yourself to be anything that you're not comfortable with. So if I can't do a show with somebody, I don't sit there ridden with guilt. I just sort of say, I'm not feeling the energy. I'm really going into myself within and navigating which way I want to go every single day, because the energies are very intense. We know that from a spiritual plane, with all this demonic energy just going a bit crazy, throwing its toys out the pram. We're feeling the energies, and today was a heavy day. And you've got these demons literally sort of bashing their feet on their floor, going, I don't want to go. We've been here for like 12,000 years. How dare you kick us out, And when we look at it like that, okay, we've been having a bit of pain for a year. But think about Gaia and how badly she's been treated over years and years and years, And I think I cried the other day when I was in nature. I mean, it doesn't take much for me to cry, but I was walking and I just felt, wow, the how we've hurt Mother Earth, over years and years and years, over many hundreds and thousands, if not millions of years, what we've done to our planet. Now, with this negativity that's just permeated in every area of our life, that, the real seems unreal, the decepted people are so in an illusion about what's false and what's real, that we need to take the control back of our lives and the steering wheel of our lives back. And how do we do that? We just quieten ourselves down. So while I've know my place in all of this, today I learned a lesson. So we have to be able to question ourselves and say, okay, what happened here today, Alpa? Or what happened here, Marie? Why did I not listen to this? And then you can kind of navigate yourself well in this, a much more calmly. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I think what you're speaking to is really powerful because you're just transparent. You're sharing your authenticity. And that's what this whole thing has been about. And that's what attracted me to you and to this movement in general, was that here were all of these people learning lessons. And I think that that's what Q is all about. It's grassroots. It's like us coming up, standing, putting our 2 feet on the earth and saying, oh, look, this is what I learned today.
Yeah.
And without any of the weird stuff of the past, the shame or the guilt or having to save face or be right, all of that is a part of our Cabal constructed programming, which
Absolutely.
we are now in a huge way detaching from.
Yeah.
And as we're detaching, more is becoming clear. Where we are still attached,
Yeah.
it comes to the surface. So that's what you had today. And that I anticipate is going to be the process of the next however long it takes as we continue to purify ourselves of the places where we wanted to be right and where we got plugged in, where our egos took the lead and we didn't know how to surrender in that moment. That's
Yeah.
the place where we celebrate ourselves when you call yourself out in a loving way. It's beautiful. It's empowering, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm so empowered by just being like totally transparent. Like I'm not
Yeah.
hiding anything. I'm not trying to prove anything. I don't care about that anymore. And that's where my freedom comes from. So thank you for the compliment. But like,
Yeah.
and you showed me that because you, Alpa, have been incredible. And I just want to take a minute to like cheer you on for a second, because you stood and you continue to stand in a place that's really like in the line of fire. And like, it's not by choice. It's not like you're doing it for like anything other than it's the right thing for you to do. You heard the call, you showed up, and every day you're doing that. You're listening. And sometimes that guidance might have you, posting. Sometimes that guidance will have you doing this or whatever it is. But the point is that you're listening to your guidance. And
Yeah.
you doing that was really important for me because my guidance had been pushing me and I was resisting it in such a big way because I was so worried about my reputation. I was so worried about my business. I was so worried about my marriage. I was so worried about all of the things. But then the minute I let go of that and realized at the essence, what is this about? Good and evil. And
Yeah.
I am for good. I am for love. And love is uprooting any barriers to its presence in me. And
Yeah.
so my work is to go along with that plan
You've
and
done
let go.
remarkably well. You've done so well. I remember the conversation we had. I remember where I was sat in my room, and I just had this feeling, Marie, that day. It was like a current, and to see you blossom and the way you are now, because the powerhouse that you are within yourself and the guidance that you can give to others, from all communities, it's just inspirational. And I think that this is what we're finding out in this journey about, who we are, what our strengths are, where we are capable of what, and finding our inner voices, aligning with the truth. It just opens up so much for you. You know this now, right? And
Yeah.
that's evolving on a public stage, like aligning with a movement that was not necessarily popular by any measures, and especially aligning with a man who was the world's most hated man. And that a movement started, the Trump derangement syndrome, globally, where you just mentioned Trump. Oh, what's going on? It's crazy. And to be able to stand in your truth and your purpose with why you're doing that and not caring about the other opinions of other people. I got tested today because it came from two people that actually gave me the opportunity and said, right, well, I'm open to what you're saying. So when they were open, they were reading the things that I was sending them. Now, of course, and I was happy with that. I'm thinking, wow, it's going to work. They're going to really start seeing the stuff and the connection to the children. And I'm so happy that they're listening. These are people that I absolutely love. I don't want to lose friendships. I've lost enough, and that you go through that grieving process as well, because you actually had a moment in time with these people where you were on the phone every day and you're speaking, and suddenly there's just a straight line cut through and your friendships have just completely dissipated for whatever reason, right, wrong, this, that, the other. And that in itself requires a bit of strength because you're grieving that. And these are people that were important to you. So I thought I was making progress. And today was like, and again, it taught me, I got a bit ahead of myself. I was like, I guarantee you that, Trump is going to be the next president. I'm not going to go stick to timelines, but I guarantee you that he will. So they now, and then I did say about 3 weeks ago that I think that there's a possibility Biden's going to come in because this is all a part of the the special ops and part of the plan, and goes, oh my God, you and this silly plan, like how much longer are you going to do this? You don't realize. I said, no, I'm giving you 3 weeks notice that this is what could potentially happen, and this is why they need to show up the corruption at every single level. Anyway, blah blah blah. And I got carried away, and I got absolutely like punctured today, like annihilated by so many people. It's okay. I mean, I'm no victim or anything. We're all victors here. We are victors here, you know.
100%.
But
Still.
we have to expect the unexpected in this, because this is the global thing that's going on. And the beauty is that what we've focused on, Marie, is the connections we've made, and the kind of energy that we emit, and all of that frequency going within, and doing all that work too, while we're sort of battling the day-to-day battle with the movement. So we have to sort of applaud ourselves there as well. However, introspection, because you need to stay aligned. Do the grounding every day. Do the grounding. And that has really helped me. Every single day, the grounding and that connection that I have with Mama Gaia, you know, even when you visualize yourself. So everyone watching this, you know, I'm sorry if any of you've experienced a bit of a tough day. Let's see if any of the comments, but yeah, just keep at it, you know, keep going within and sticking to that strong resolve inside, you know. Oh, got quite a few people.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, I think what you're sharing is so beautiful, Alba, because there is that, what we're receiving from people, like as more and more people are like opening up to, okay, maybe this is happening, maybe it's not happening. The thing that I really want people to understand, our favorite new word, is that
2020.
yeah, the word of 2020, it's just so many of them. It's just to really understand that our egos don't get to be the boss anymore. That's what the Great Awakening is about. That's the essence. We're rising out of survival mode and egoic patterning, and the ego wants to be right all the time. And this is why we're right in that, yes, Trump is going to be the president of whatever, the republic, right? Yes, we're right that the Cabal is being taken down. Yes, we're right about some of the core principles of why we got involved, why we aligned ourselves to the most hated man in the world, and allowed our communities to disintegrate and go through that grieving process of friends and all of that's happened. But the bottom line is that this is a spiritual evolution, and that we have to keep at the forefront of everything. And that's what you're doing, and that's what people who are new to this are practicing. But they can't get mad at the people. Like, we're just doing the best we can. Things are changing. And who said it recently? I think it was Lynn Winwood or 107, one of them. Like, they make a move, we make a move. So like, there are so many variables. We're playing within a unified field of possibilities. So like, it could have been November 4th, it was done. It could have been that too. And we've been, ever since that day, I think I heard you say it, or so, I think it was you recently saying, it feels like we've been on borrowed time, because a lot of us had worked ourselves up to that. And I did too, because I thought, even all my friends and my whole community, but I was like, oh, but there's going to be 10 days of darkness, and it's all going to be clear that I was right.
Yeah.
But that was my ego. That was my ego that wanted to prove that I was on the right side of things. And that's what we started the show with, really saying, like, I don't want to be right. Yeah. I wish I was wrong about all of this. I really do. I wish I was wrong 100%. That stuff that's happening to kids wasn't happening. Yeah. But that's what keeps me having more and more faith and being like, fine, spirit, you want to go deeper? You want more of me? You want more of my barriers? You want me to keep stepping back up after I get beat down? I'll keep doing it, because it's purifying. And it feels so amazing, doesn't it? Don't you feel like through it all, I've been so empowered to like really be who I want to be, without being so concerned about being liked and like approved of, you know? It's like, I thought I had done that work, but man, was that's deep. We're talking about years and years and years, and maybe even eons of programming and traumas karmically that we're healing from right now. And so that's what you're saying, like, applaud yourself, applaud your wins, take baby steps. But yeah, this doesn't make sense through any other container other than spirit, good, evil. light,
Good
dark. That's
over evil, good over, light,
yeah,
dark to light. So there's something
totally.
very important there, Marie, about the Cabal and the constructs and the paradigms that we've been living in. So we've got to understand that the debris, the remnants of the Cabal constructed programming and that energy that's permeated within our own, energetic fields, it's not an overnight fix. When we go into that awareness and get that, okay, I'm also behaving from a Cabal constructed paradigm. I get that I'm behaving like that because I'll be honest, there was that part of me where I had been really attacked. Now, I kind of take things more off a duck's back, but sometimes when things get very righteous for me, and who am I to say that as well? So I go into my head and say, no, this is about the kids, this is about the kids. How can you not even even acknowledge that? Why? And it gets me really sort of ruffles my feathers, and I get angry, and I go into a place of low vibration. And it's with people that there's only two people that have had this effect on me, I'll be honest, right? But these two people are very necessary for my evolvement and spirit. No one else has got to me. It's just like, yeah, let them say what they want. I've used my discernment and my own sort of inner kind of intuitive compass about how I feel about the whole situation, and trusting that plan, knowing that actually we are at the start of the golden age. We've entered into the age of Aquarius, and just in understanding what that's all about, the age and the era of truth and justice, we're just stepping into it. We haven't even begun. There is so much to do, but we're kind of cleaning this debris that's been here, not for just 5 minutes. It's been over 12,000 years. Yeah. And when we understand that spiritual side to things, it's like, whoa, no wonder that this is permeated from generation to generation to generation. So we start identifying what's going on within our own familial units. We understand patterns. We look at patterns within our own family from generations and generations. And I did that with my own family to see certain patterns that were forming. And when you look at things like that with that level of introspection, Marie, it really does help kind of navigate yourself in your journey. So going back to today, going back to this whole movement, I don't want to be doing these things all the time. I want to be living. I want to be traveling. I want to see the world. But I get that this moment in time is pivotal and historic and really, really important for humanity. And we decided to take on this mission. We were perhaps chosen for it, right? To do our part, to do what we were meant to do. And that doesn't mean everybody has to do a Zoom chat or, start screaming about everyone's pedos, like I've been, and screaming from the rooftops. But yeah, no, he's a pedo. No, but he's a pedo. And not everyone has got that kind of inclination to want to do that. And I get it.
It's like the new 4-letter word. It's like the worst word you could be called. It's like,
I know, but but the thing is, when you've done
4-letter.
Yeah, when you get yourself so deep into that rabbit hole, but not everyone's going to be inclined. That doesn't mean they're not awake. So we're doing our own bit, and when we accept that, we come into that now, come into that sort of that presence, that centralized presence within ourselves, within the today, within the now. So okay, bit off day today with the election. Damn it, everyone should have been arrested today. Fair enough, it didn't happen, but we're not going to give up. We've come too far. We've come too far, and there's just beautiful things that we learn from every day, from the good, from the bad, from the ugly. And that's the Cabal constructs are kind of disappearing. They're dissipating slowly. So even when we are kind of getting angry or upset or emotional, allow yourself space, hold space for yourself. Yeah, but as long as you say, right, well, I'm going to really figure out why this has triggered me, and go into the self and just figure it out, and then you're kind of balancing yourself out, if that makes sense. So have a cry if you need to have a cry. I do a lot.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying is that it's a personal journey, and I think that that's partly why it's continuing to unfold, and for sometimes it feels like it's being dragged out, because we're learning how to live it now, regardless of the external, because that's the spiritual path. The spiritual path is a level of invincibility. And because of that invincibility, you inevitably manifest more of a reality that reflects what you want, but you have to live it. And so
Absolutely.
when we, that's why I was saying, like, when you say like have a cry or have the anger, it's important to do that, because otherwise you store it and you feed the programs within yourself. So if it's present, bring it up. That's a great thing. Welcome it, lay down, meditate, drink some juice, do what you need to do, because living in the light requires that you walk through the dark. Right? I mean, that's what this is. And so any
Absolutely.
opportunity you get, that just I'm just really reminding myself too, is that like not to get frustrated if I'm not feeling like, oh, it's perfect, not to be frustrated, to be like, oh, okay, this is a purification. It's another layer, it's another level. I mean, you're talking about 12,000 years of programming, or I mean, this is immense. This is from the beginning of time. We're healing the separation. We're healing the separation. And one of my favorite lines from A Course in Miracles says that the separation happened when the Son of God, which is all of us, forgot to laugh.
Yep.
We forgot to laugh at the insanity of even the potential that we could be separate from our creator. We are created. We're created. I mean, we didn't create ourselves. So to the extent that we focus on that, it just feels like no matter what continues to happen and unfold, we'll continue to just stay in it and keep smiling. That's the work. Like talking to people, like someone said to me recently, like, you really got to wake up. He was trying to jab me. And 2 weeks ago, it would have jabbed me deeper. But, now it just jabbed me a little. And I saw it, but I was so in touch with my energy. I was just like so clear about what I want to ground in, what I'm manifesting with our beautiful community and family. Like, what is this really about? That anything that's not that doesn't get to be there anymore. And that's what we're learning how to do as a collective. All of us have to do that individually. And I think that's why this thing might seem to be dragging on a little bit, because we got to kind of up our game.
Yeah, and at the moment there is a very distinctive divide in humanity. There is, there's sort of there's one side, there's the other side, and then there's just people in the middle who just don't really even care. Yeah, and that disparity there is just so, it's heavy. However, it's a moment in time, and we must trust that until full disclosure has come out, because the media is the arsenal of mankind at the moment. So it's the psychological warfare and this sabotage to our emotional, mental, and spiritual, the warfare that it's attacking us on every single level, where people are just getting swayed. Like, some people were actually turning around and actually open to what was going on, because they were connecting the dots and thinking things were a bit disjointed with this whole scamdemic, and thinking that something doesn't quite add up, and okay, let me just listen, let's just explore this. Why are people like lunatics screaming about kids? What's going on with the agenda to 2030? What's going on here? What's going on there? We're getting people, but they weren't invested enough. Yeah, we've invested emotionally, mentally, and this was a part of our script. When we understand that this was our script, because it feels right, there was no going back. We couldn't go back. We couldn't be those ones that sort of sat on the fence and thought, now I'm better off back in where I was, and this is a load of nonsense. That wasn't for us. But for those that were going that way and then suddenly easily taken back and said, oh, this is just nonsense, we have to remind ourselves who is speaking to them and who's infiltrated their mindsets. The subliminal programming that's been so powerful, and the frequency, that the things that they listen to, watch, the people that they speak to, the societies that they're a part of, the situations that they're in, all of this is so important to observe. And why people don't understand these things, because they're so desensitized, Marie, and they're so desensitized within their communities. It happens a lot in the Asian communities, so much because we've been removed so far from our spirituality, and I say this with so much respect, that we can't see what actually is going on here in a spiritual context. Now, I'm not saying it's like that across the board for everyone else, and I mean this in no disrespectful way, but just from my own experience, when I speak to a lot of people, there is huge cognitive dissonance, and it's massive. And when you think that we come from the most evolved, or should be home to spirituality in etymology, to understand actually what's going on at different realms, dimensions, timelines, if you look at any of our stories, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, they're just filled with all of this demonic stuff, good over bad. It's literally so simple. The devils with gods, devils against the gods. So, if you simplify all our stories, this is what it is. And there's just some crazy characters and all sorts of things happening, It's like a movie when you watch and read some of our, like the Mahabharata and stuff. So we are so consumed, but not in the correct way. And this is what's happening. And I say that not in judgment, but it's what has been thrown and what at us. We've been poisoned. And we don't even realize that we've been poisoned. And when you come out of that, however you come out of that and have your grand awakening, be it through, a meditation or yoga or eating healthy, or you've had some kind of dark night of the soul experience, whatever that is for you, there's not, we're not born with a template or a manual of, yeah, right, this is how we're going to do our life. I mean, I sometimes wish we did, but then, it's like, I just want a refund on this, but, we don't know. So we're just taking every single day as it comes, and just continue. I've lost my train of thought now.
No, I feel you. I mean, what you're speaking to is really important, because we've all been separated, whether you're in the Asian Indian community and looking at those books, those stories. Yeah. Did you want to finish it, or you want me to go?
No. All I was just saying is that, we're all of us are trying to understand that this is a spiritual war, and I can see why people can't feel that and see that clearly, and that this is a war on our consciousness, because they're just looking at everything through a 3D lens. And my experience with my own people, my own community, the people that are giving me the hardest times are from my friends and family, in one respect, not because they're bad people, it's just because they're so desensitized to this, so they've become consumed. We've become a very consumerist society, and it's about keeping up with the Jones, it's about having this, and it's about having that. Materialism has just become, the beyond and end all. Why? Look at what social media has done, right, to society, to humanity. But this was orchestrated very well. This was the Cabal construct. It was there to kind of, hit us in our souls and our self-worth and the way we psychologically feel about ourselves, so subliminally that people didn't even realize. So now all this stuff about mental health is like out there, and we're talking about it, but the damage has been done, so ingrained, and we don't talk about these things at school, like about the importance of breathing and spirituality and meditation. It's just constructs of the Cabal, and we don't even realize that we're doing it. All of us will have remnants of that in our day-to-day life, and that's the our ego. We have to keep our ego in check. So yeah. That's what I want to say.
It's so beautiful, and it's so important that you said that, because it's about awareness. We've got to be able to see where we've been dialed in, and so many people don't want to do that. Why? Because it's shattering. Then you realize everything you've taught has been a lie, like Charlie says. Like, everything you think is make believe, and you've got to strip away so much of the self, who I think I am, to be who you truly are. And that's the work. And that's why people are shying away from it, because it's like, we're so much easier. We think it's so much easier just to take the scrapes. Like, we're fine with like these peaks of happiness and despair, happiness and despair, happiness and despair. We're like, okay with that. That's normalized. That's been happening. That's what my parents did. We keep getting a little bit better, but there's no gray area anymore. It's like 107 has been saying, like, this is about pick a lane. Like, you have to pick a lane right now. And too many beautiful, good hearted people are picking a lane of mediocrity. And not only mediocrity, if we want to really talk about what that is, it's evil, because you are divine, creature of the universe. Like, you need to be aligned to who you truly are. Otherwise you default into this like kind of half-ass humaning, and you get sick and you die, and that's kind of like your life. And you work really hard, and you have all the clothes, and you have the perfect pictures and all of the stuff. And I have a lot of those things as well, but I have them from a place of like knowing it's because I'm a daughter of the Creator, and that's my mantra. And I'm focused on my spiritual evolution, more than anything else. And everybody, like you said, is caught up into consumerism, into materialism, into the commerce of everything. It's like we look at each other and we go, well, how can I make money from you? Or how can I trick you into being, it's all of that. Competition is toxic, all of it. And what we see with people like you and now me and a lot of us in this, we're not competing. There's no one, this is not what this is.
No.
This is about unity. And the last thing I want to say about this is that we have to learn how to hear the voice for God within us. And that's a practice, so you do it through yoga, meditation, getting quiet, literally unplugging from the matrix. You have to do that every day so that you can hear the voice for God within you. Now, if everybody was doing this, which this is the direction we're going, because this is a spiritual awakening more than anything else. We're using Trump and Biden and all of that.
But it's not just, they're just conduits,
Exactly.
in this, the revelation, but there's revelations within ourselves. This is the great global awakening. It's not the Trump show. And it's not.
And people want to get stuck in that bit of it. I mean, he's just like us in that he heard the call and he's doing his part and he's listening. He's participating. He's co-creating with a higher intelligence, whatever you call it, Galactic Federation of Light, or you call it God himself. It doesn't so much matter. But the point is that if we were all doing that, which is the function of this movement, to inspire more and more people to discern, get information, do what needs to be done, we would have peace, period, because we wouldn't be fighting with each other. We would all be moving in one direction. Now, would we all agree? Probably not. Would we all visualize God as this or that? No, but we wouldn't care because the energy of God, which is love, would be driving us.
Yeah.
And so we would be okay with each other. We wouldn't be competing. We wouldn't be taking each other down for the way that we're, communicating or anything like that. We'd all be moving in that direction. I think that that's really important for people to get and understand that more than anything, it's not about like Trump is going to save the world. We, all of us are saving the world by our listening, our ability to tune back in with our creator. And that's the most important thing. And that's why I got involved as a practitioner of yoga and transformation and all this stuff, because it didn't make sense to bypass the most exciting thing happening. So it's like people like you and me, we just put everything aside. Everything. It was like nothing matters more than this. And that's what
it's a moment in time. It's this moment in time where humanity is faced with these revelations like never before. Is it just sheer coincidences? Of course not. Why is all of this information being readily available for us acutely over the last 4 years? We must question things logically. And of course, I was asleep. I was like, snoozing. However, I was on an internal journey for 10 years. I've said this many times where, being on my own for so long and being quiet, so not easily consumed by outside noise. However, still asleep to what was going on with the corruption and at what extent it was going to. And I think that's a lot of people's journey. So when I came, I was prepared. Like I was like, oh, I get it. I didn't fall to pieces. I mean, for a few weeks I was like, wow, it really hit me. But then it straight away made me realize, oh my God, I know what my purpose and what I need to do here. That call to action. Just 1 second.
Hi, friends in the chat. I see a bunch of you in here. I see a bunch of you in here. Hello, soul sisters. Hi, chai tea. People think I'm crackers. Muppet puppet. That's fun. Stacy. Hi, friends. Susan, Patrick. Love you guys. Barbie Locks. We love you. Yeah. If you guys have any comments or questions you want us to address, just let us know. I'm just talking to the group. We have a great group with us today.
Sorry, Kenzo's just come back. Kenzo goes to his granddad's every day at this time. Comes back at this time. It's 8 o'clock in the UK, so he goes from 5 till my dad picks him up. So he has like it's like my child babysitting. My father babysits him and drops him back. So apologies for that. What were we saying?
Oh gosh, so many amazing things. We were in this
I
free
know.
fall.
I love how these conversations just flow organically. And what I love about what this has brought, these Zoom conversations, is there's that less pressure of any of these manicured shows where we are like what we've been used to seeing on mainstream media. And these conversations flow effortlessly, you know, and it's brought so many people together because, oh yeah, because this is that moment in time. This is this moment in time where it's like people who have lived through wars, and they'll remember what they did through wars. Now, this might not be the conventional war, you know, using weaponry, but this is the psychological war, the war of consciousness, like I keep saying, a spiritual war, and information war, right?
Mm-hmm.
The level of information that is out there, and for us to discern, decipher, and all of that jazz. Are we wrong? Are we right? It's just there's so much, but it's so important to quieten down internally, and every day having these spiritual disciplines. And it's not necessarily having doing all these expensive exercises, like, you know, just having grounding techniques, just simple grounding techniques on a day-to-day basis, which really helped me. And I do a little bit of yoga weekly. That is so important, that having that kind of time for self. So because I'm on my own a lot of the times, especially now, there's nowhere we can go in the UK, you know, and it's really cold and just supermarkets are open and our social lives have been completely crushed. So I'm quite used to being on my own, but I do think and spare a thought for people, you know, who are in situations in households where they're the only ones that awake, then they have, you know, the pressure of unawakening themselves, if that makes sense, when they're around people most of the times. And I hear so many of these stories,
Yeah.
and then you're a part of big families, and you know this consuming happens, these pressures happen. So I get it, it's no one's fault. And people who at the moment are not awake, they're well-meaning people, they just think that they are aligning with the truth and their truth. This is the thing, they don't realize that they've been so indoctrinated or manipulated by the media. They cannot see that because they clutch to their titles, they clutch to their academic you know, records, and the way that their life, the trajectory of their lives has gone. So we can't sit there in that condemnation for these people. But what I find at the moment is silencing myself inside is really helping, especially after today.
Yeah. Well, I think what's so important is that we acknowledge that that's where people are at, but I'm I have no tolerance anymore
Mm.
to allow that energy to
Yeah,
infect.
absolutely.
And I think for the people that are now maneuvering through that, like living in homes with people, like how you just mentioned, and that, because what I really think this is about is an emotional strengthening. Like we need to be in charge of our own energetics, and emotion is just energy in motion. And so what's happening is a lot of energy in motion, right? You feel really like excited or inspired about someone, and someone sees it the exact opposite. You love this person. Now you're in cognitive dissonance because it doesn't make sense. You love them, but they love Trump, and Trump is a racist, and that doesn't make sense. And now it's difficult, and logically you can't understand that. But logic, we have to surpass logic and start to deal emotionally. But when that happens for people, I think it's really important that we start to detach and start to use your excitement, use your like energy, and co-create something with spirit. That's the energy of God working through you. And the demonic stuff is stopping you through the people that you love. We have to understand this is a whole plan. There are two plans. There's God's plan and there's our plan.
Sure.
By our plan, I mean our egoic collective consciousness, which is less than God's plan. So it's like if you're tuning into God's plan for the salvation of the world, which includes you and needs your hands and feet and your words and your Zooms and your stuff to like get the message out there,
Exactly.
then stay with that. And the people that are down here, they're playing a role too. But
Exactly.
what I feel like I've graduated from, and with a lot of help from you and Charlie and this whole beautiful family, has been like just done. Like, I'm not going to let this energy anymore stall me. I'm going to use it to empower me to go further and further and further into the light. So like if you're stuck in a house with somebody and you're playing this and I can't do anything, it's like, start looking on Airbnb. Like, even if you don't act on it, even if start looking for plane tickets to Mexico, like even if you don't act on it, that act in time manifest it closer to you, because energetically you're lifting your frequency. And so it's only a matter of time where that possibility is going to come into your reality and you'll be ready for it. But if emotionally you're not, you will deflect that miracle. Now, the miracle will come back because it's held in a trust, because God loves you so much. However, now is the time to access the miracles because of all of the light coding that's just happened and all of the activations. I mean, look at all of us, like, look at Alpa, like, look at what happened to my skin. Like, I'm just like, I feel like I'm like really getting infused by this energy, and it's not mine. I'm borrowing it. I'm receiving it. I'm accepting it. I'm saying thank you. And I'm offering it to anyone who wants it. And I think that now it's really, really important, friends, to get out of those weird conversations. Don't try and prove anything. Just use that creative energy, that inspiration you're getting right now, and do something amazing with it. Like, plan something, write out, a beautiful dream, like go bigger and better than you did yesterday. Like, that's what's going to get us out of this and move this timeline faster, is more and more of us resonating more frequently with a higher frequency, with extended amounts of time, less dips, and more just maintaining that balance on, like what Charlie says, the level, like one step, like you're just in it, you're in it. So what, so what?
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's really well said. And I think co-creating what you want from this, none of us anticipated that this was going to be the trajectory of our lives. We didn't see this. I mean, I was working, and I am still working on one project where it was a part of a global property startup as a portal. And I've been a part of it for 6 years. And the energy that's connected to that industry, it was so, the resistance in trying to make it work was just not working, and it's moving into a new paradigm now. But that's because we've decided to take a shift. I'm not actively involved with it on a day-to-day basis, but what the whole property industry has been connected to, when I started realizing the energetics behind that and what it wasn't conducive for me and what I'm doing, so many things started making sense. Now, that's not saying that I won't still be a part of that. I'm a director of the business. However, I've employed a new energy, a new energetics, new way of thinking, and see how that evolves. Another part of my business that I was doing, a contract that I had, ended because I'm doing this. So, and that was my main source of income. And did it faze me at all? No, not at all. Very similar story to yourself, right? So, it's that glowing that you say, I can see it, you're evolving, because when you speak your truth, this is what happens. I didn't like speaking in all these shows. I mean,
you're doing so amazing. I'm so proud of you.
And I didn't really sort of like publicly speaking. I'd lose my train of thought because, this cognitive impairment, I'd feel like this is hurting, that's hurting. And, am I going to even be able to string a sentence together? But it's amazing what happens when you hold the path of that. And I say this not from an egotistical plane, like that righteousness, that call to action. And that was what I was meant to do. And it just felt right. I couldn't get away from it. So, and then it's leading to all of this. So it's leading to these new corners, which are beautiful, things that we would never have explored, people we would never have met. And, it's broken, it's brought us all closer together. Yeah, things in the short term with friends and family may be not broken, that's not the word I want to use, but just impaired in the short term. But there's so much that's coming which is in alignment with our frequency and the people that we meet, and it just feels right. It feels right. It doesn't feel fake. It doesn't feel like forced, and it's just effortless. And trust your script, because my script is not the same as your script. My path is not your path. You can lead, but that doesn't mean everyone has to follow. They can take nuggets of wisdom from you and then, integrate it within who they are, because what we see in others is what we see within ourselves. So we need to identify this on a day-to-day basis. This is why having an organized mind, having an organized way of thinking to live a life of, exuberance. And I'm not saying that that's easy today. Like I said, I've got tested today, but then I'll just, go back and think, okay, another day, and being present in that now,
Totally. Well, it's a love and fear. It's like, this is about love, or it's about
great
fear.
you're saying love and Greg. Hi, Greg.
Greg
Sovereignty,
and
freedom of
Justin
flow.
are here
It
too.
was brilliant, actually, what Greg said earlier on, which is worth mentioning. He just kept himself away from it as well, like yourself. And he's just in that flow of energy where he's like, he totally trusts the fan, you know, and doesn't need to be infiltrated with all this other noise. Today, I put myself out there and I thought, like, I need to see this, but I did, and I don't regret it either. But it is so important that we have a choice what we listen to, who we talk to. So when you realize that someone's not making you feel great, and you realize that, oh, I had a choice, I didn't need to entertain that conversation, then we can, you know, stay within our high vibrations all the time, as much as we can.
It's so important, Alpa, what you said about choice. Like we've forgotten that we're a choice. It's like what Charlie said recently, like we've all just capitulated. We don't even argue against this insanity anymore because it's too hard, because we've been trained since the moment we got here. Even in the womb, we've had so much fear indoctrination. And it's really sad. And I my heart goes out to all of us, because we've all been traumatized again and again and again and again. And now this process is bringing it to our awareness, and we don't want to look at it because it's really painful, and we've been taught to avoid pain. But this is a process of knowing that you're walking through the valley of the shadow of death, right?
Yeah.
You walk through the pain. You
Yeah.
have to have
Love
pain.
that.
You gotta lay down. You gotta cry. You gotta vomit. You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta drink watermelon
But
juice. You got to do this because it's energetically an upgrade, and you cannot upgrade with that density. And so for the people that are resisting this, like, I get it. I feel you. I've resisted, but I've also realized that the only way out of the pain is to go through it. Like, you just got to go through it. And the most important thing right now is to heal our relationship to our creator,
yeah,
because that energy is going to pull you through faster and quicker and with less wounding. But the issue we have is we've been taught to fear God and love the
absolutely.
devil. So
Yeah.
we're all running around loving the devil, thinking that it's God, and we're all hating on God, thinking it's the devil.
Yeah.
And so it's that 100%, like 180% inversion now. We've got to go upside down. I mean, in our practice of yoga, we do lots of handstands. Like, you've got to put your head below your heart. You've got to learn how to surrender. And so right now is the time to not be worrying about money and your job and your reputation. It's the time to be getting spiritual information, really.
Yeah.
It's really the time to go deep. That's what time is for. Charlie said this yesterday, and I'm going to pass it back. He said, there's nothing more important than your christened consciousness. Like,
Yeah.
that is than Christ consciousness right now. There's and
Sorry.
you can, you don't like the
Enzo's
word
just
Christ.
going crazy. 1 second.
Go,
I'm going to give you a chance to look at. Sorry, guys.
go. Just to finish that thought, friends, another word for Christ is love. That's all I wanted to say. Let me see what you're up to here in the chat. Funny name for God. Pain is gone. Rain brain. Hi, friends. Let me see. Hi, Greg. Yes, keep it simple. Love and fear. Only two roots for all decisions. And yeah, that's that. Let's talk a little bit about love and
Love and
fear.
light from Cape Town. I used to live in Cape Town. That's Nicolette Pierce. Hi, Nicolette. I used to live in Cape Town. Oh, I missed it there.
Let's just talk a little bit about love and fear, and like everyday stuff that happens when, so it doesn't have to be about this, conversation, but like every day you're choosing either love or fear. So it's like any decision you make, any phone conversation you take, anything you watch, it's about, am I going to feed within me the love or the fear? And what we need to learn how to do is to starve our fear.
Yeah.
It's really important to deny its power over you. It's welcoming it to the table, but it's not giving it dominion over you. And I think that now more than ever, guys, like, breathe.
Yeah. Sometimes I know this may sound a bit strange, but sometimes fear can be inadvertently conducive. And I'll explain how, because my fear of actually wanting to speak up about this started in straight away when I heard about it. And it was in March. It was only until July I went on Charlie Wood's show, the first show that I ever done, to actually sort of say, hey, I need to speak about it because, you know, this is crazy, and, you know, going on that whole trajectory. But, you know, since March, I was boiling up and I was like, oh no, but I can't, because this is just a bit crazy. It's a bit out there. And then seeing what social media was posting, and I wasn't big on social media. And then I suddenly don't say much on social media. And now I come and talk about this. These were choices that I was making, and I was observing the sentiment. And there was that fear. That fear for me was conducive to say, then it turned into the kind of moral compass. And this is just my own journey. And it was like, I can't do it because it was affecting me. So I was seeing how that was affecting me, and I was seeing what the fear was doing to me. And it was where I decided, no, this is what we've got to do. So it's going back to making choices every single day. Like, do we want to live in that fear, or are we operating from love? And love in action. There's something really amazing that we spoke about in one of my shows with a guy called Paul Boyce, is that love doesn't necessarily mean that we're coochie cooing all the time. Love in action is what we're doing in our dharma. Yeah. So for the greater good of something. So in the short term, that love may not feel like the conventional love, but it's like what we're doing. We do want to actually save Granny in the hospital by speaking about what's going on here. We're not being mean by not wearing our masks. We're not acquiescing. We're not, you know, living in this fear of tyranny. It's what we're doing in our action on a day-to-day basis. And how do we get to that is the choices that we make. So we're making these choices every single day. And when we become aware of this, we're not sort of swinging like sort of in these polarities. We're actually making like, okay, if I take that call from that friend, I'm not on that vibe with her, I'm not feeling it today. Or if I do take on this contract, you know, is that going to take me to more pressure? When you realize like what's going on within yourself, within your own body, within what you can take energetically, because this movement is just tiring anyway. And the way the whole world is, the energetics of the world is, you know, where are we? What's going on? Lockdown, this, that, government's resigned, noise, like screaming. Like, what are we doing? What are liberties been taken away from us? So we're making choices on those grounds every single day to keep sane, because we feel that our, you know, liberty's been stripped away from us. We have to literally subordinate. We're subordinating by wearing masks and doing all these kind of things, but we don't even realize that we're doing this. So I'm just generically speaking here.
Yeah.
So this is what we're making that choice. Well, am I going to be one that wears one, or am I not going to be, you know, and am I going to be one of these ones that goes and screams about it and says no? And see, we're constantly making choices every single day. What's going to keep you on your path and you feeling good? That's the most important thing. And when we come into sort of that renaissance within ourselves and recalibrate that energy within, things start making sense. But this choices is so important. And I realized that because being open and not having boundaries before, like, you know, it exhausts you. And as it is, you know, we're all consumed with things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis, you know, the energies. So make better choices.
Beautiful. And that's been a theme we've been talking about is choices. Like, you're at choice, and it's no more just answering the call because you feel like you should, or, you know, that's the way it's always been. Now is the time to let things be different, to make different choices, to recalibrate to your spiritual alignment. Doesn't mean, you know, like my daughter today was saying, I said, what do you want for lunch? And she said, she thought about it for a second. She goes, avocado and watermelon. And I was like, okay, sounds great. Watermelon, avocado. And she goes, yeah, Mom, because sometimes I don't feel good at school. Like, she's like, sometimes my stomach doesn't feel good. And I was like, well, that'd be a great time to recalibrate. And she's like, what does that mean? And I was like, perfect opportunity to teach her about recalibration. I said, they have like a little nook in their, it's not really a school, but in their community, in our community. And they just like can go in there and have a little rest, like a little shavasana, a little 5-minute meditation, a little just being, to recalibrate. Because what she's really feeling at 6 is the energy exchange. You know, she's one of these like little divas, like she's like got a lot of friends and a lot of energy and all of that. So she feels a little depleted. You know, she'll eat something and then she feels like a little bit tired. So what's amazing is that because what we're doing is trying to nurture her loving consciousness and action rather than teaching her fear-based programs,
Brilliant.
she's aware, right? It's brilliant. She's aware of her energy. She's aware of how food affects her. And so she's like, I just want to, last couple weeks, like she's observing Danny and I. So she's like really dialing back on a lot of things, but because she wants to, not
Yeah.
because we're telling her this is bad for you. Like, it's
Yeah.
amazing to see that we come with divine intelligence. And
Absolutely.
we are programmed for greatness. It is immaculate. It is amazing. So that's all that we're doing for our children in our community, but also because we've decided that we're worth that too. And as adults, we're taking on the hard work of getting over our fears. Even though we have them, we still show up for the lives. We still say no to that food or no to that relationship or whatever. But what I love about this is that it really is about remembering that we're at choice.
Yeah.
And when you say I'm at choice and you ask for guidance, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there for you. It's just waiting for you, literally, to tune a second of your awareness in the present moment to its consciousness so that it can flow through you. The problem that we have is we're so distracted looking side to side to side to side. So anytime you take 5 minutes, like my 6-year-old today, just go in your little nook, sweetheart, lay down or sit up and do your breathing and you'll feel great. And she knew in a New York minute that that was truth because it's the truth. She knew it already. She's like, oh, thanks. She's like, that's great, you know? And then, you know, on with the day.
Children are fascinating. They're so innocent. And it's just, this is something that we need to, as adults, do, embrace our inner child. I'm so immature. Ask Greg. I sing to him all the time, and I'm just like, in some kind of childlike state. But playfulness, bringing that exuberance into our lives on a day-to-day basis, and that joy that children give us, that, we can learn so much of children all the time. And beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. It also sounds just amazing.
He's amazing. And my son too, like we're learning so much from him, just even about diet. Like this child, all he wants is orange juice and bananas.
So he's been listening to Charlie.
I mean, he's already in the lineage. Like we are of the lineage of love, like all of us, whether we're Indian or Lebanese or whatever we are. Like we are brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And he's amazing, my 4-year-old. Like we observe him. Like he eats cucumbers too.
The children that are, part of this new earth, and they were meant to come in at this time, and this is it. You see that
They're
whole
teachers.
thing. Yeah. And when I see my niece and nephew, that just so beautiful, and just full of vibrancy and just innocence, and even how she was talking to me, she calls me Fifi, and she just said, yeah, you just got to ride the waves, Fifi. You just got to ride the waves. And I was like, you know what? I know those rainbow waves. I like surfing those all the time in my head. But you learn so much from them. And it's that innocence that captures my heart. And, I just, sorry, I get like all emotional with kid stuff because I just think they can offer you so much. And going back to this programming, we must make sure that we step away from and realize that actually within ourselves that, oh God, this is the constructs of the Cabal. I have this with a friend that I speak to, who is like my spiritual brother as well, when we speak to quite often. And when we recognize that, oh my God, we're being all cabaled up now, aren't we? Like we can actually identify, we've turned it into a joke, and we're having a tantrum about something. Oh my God, this is taking too long. What's going on? Having our rant in a jovial way, in that way where we are like, we can actually see ourselves and recognize how we are behaving. So it's brilliant. The whole thing is just keeping your energy congruent with this journey and keeping it high, and enjoying it. It's been an emotional roller coaster today, but I can feel myself also like feeling a bit tired at the moment.
You're doing great, and thank you. We can wrap too. At this
point.
No,
I just thought if we, I think we should do regularly as well. It's just I just am so happy to see how you've evolved in this, Marie. You've just beautiful, and I love reading all the beautiful messages about you, and I see them, and I just think, because this is what your journey was. This was your part here, and we're doing our bit. And when all of this is over, we will look at this and feel like, wow, what a moment in time that was. And we'll appreciate this. But if we, life is progressive growth. We're continuously evolving emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And now we have that understanding of, you know, what triggers us, what doesn't, you know, what that change is the law of the universe. That's a simplified thing. Change is the law of the universe. And it says that in our Gita Sar. You know, what was yours today was somebody else's yesterday. You came empty-handed and you go empty-handed, right? And what you learn here and evolve here, it's that you're not taking the materialism with you. It's the way you are, your actions in this life, but how you will be remembered. Yes, of course, you know, we're all entitled to the abundance in our lives materially as well, to the fine things and live life, be happy, and just want all the lovely things. There's nothing wrong with that, and I want to make that clear. If you want to aspire to have the most beautiful house and this, but what you keep here, this has to be soft, clean, right? And we just, and then we enjoy ourselves with our brothers and sisters, and you know, smile along the way. And guys, I'm sorry, I'm flaking a little bit. My head's spinning a bit.
You've been in lives all day, and I know the feeling. You're doing so great. These are such they're such upgrades. They're so beautiful to be with each other, and yeah, I think what you're saying is really important to remember, that we
some really
deserve,
nice messages.
We deserve the best. We're holy. I mean, Charlie's, what's the word? We're hallowed. Justin was reminding me. We are divine, and we deserve to live like kings and queens, but we need to do it in the way that divinity would do it.
Exactly. Brilliant point. The way, see the divine within us.
And God wants it for all of us, not just those of us that have the gold coins. So that's why we have to go deep. We can't have poverty. We can't have trafficking. Like, we just can't have these things anymore, because I don't want my big house on a hill if there are still people that don't have food. That doesn't feel right anymore. And there was too much of a disparity, and now it's done. It's like, you got to pick a lane, and the gifts of abundance are then magnetized to us. That's what Charlie, I love this whole teaching on magnetism.
I know, he's brilliant. I've learned so much from Charlie, and I love the way he explains a lot of these things, because I like the, you know, applying the spirituality and then the knowledge about what's actually happening. I don't like calling it politically, but like at grassroots, what's going on. And I love how he marries the two together, you know, and then so that we can understand what's going on. And this is where the media is our arsenal, because the people that, you know, our friends, etc., or family that don't get it, they are simply just reading a paper or listening to one source. So we just get so consumed with proving, you know, no, but if they don't have that spiritual,
it's like, at this point, you're like robot. Like, I can't even, like, there's this woman yesterday, she tried to tell, I was like, I don't talk to robots, man. I talk to people like Alpa Soni. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I talk to people that are awake every day. I'm in these containers for X amount of hours each day. And then, like, going into the world, thank goodness my community is really high level. But every now and then, you know, it's like, or a phone call or a WhatsApp or whatever. It's just like, I just feel like that's what this is, purifying that toxicity, even within each other. It doesn't mean I don't love that woman anymore, but I'm just not going to spend 3 hours with you at brunch on Sunday. I just don't want to do that anymore. It was really fun 6 months ago, until you started talking about how Biden cares about whales, and you're going to vote for Biden because he, like, it doesn't mean I don't love you. It just means that I don't have anything in common with you right now. Perhaps on the timeline, it'll spin back around. I'm detached. I don't care. I'm just super enrolled, invested, subscribed to you guys, to this community. Like, I want to keep nurturing this, because it's too important not to.
It's so in line with who you are, and you feel comfortable, and it doesn't feel forced. It just feels natural. And this is what's happening. We're all meeting from so many different countries. And just want to say bye to everybody that's listening. Justin, thank you. Such a sweet thing to say. Alpa, oh, bless. Greg, you know, always there, my soul brother. Beautiful messages. People from North Dakota. Wow. So many lovely people and lovely messages.
Yes. It's awesome. Thank you for being Alpa. Any last words? Tell us any last words.
After today, just everyone that's listening, and if they're feeling a little bit despondent or a bit morose after what's happened today, I don't even need to tell you this, because I know you guys are just awesome anyway. But look, expect the unexpected. We're still carrying on. We really don't truly know exactly how this is going to pan out in its precision, but trusting the plan, your plan, the divine plan for you in your script, and just continuously making that commitment to yourself that I choose to stay in that path where I feel exuberant. I choose to stay in that path where, I check in on myself. If it's something that doesn't feel right, why, this person is not making me feel good, then I make that choice not to be around that, whatever the situation is, but be congruent with yourself and your soul, because look, you've and direct your energy to the people that you know that will hold space for you. And it's so important because you matter. Your inner journey matters, and it matters to how you conduct yourself for yourself on this journey, if this makes any sense. But we have had a bit of a few blessings, and pat yourself on the back. Be proud of yourself. Be proud and grateful that you are on this trajectory of the truth that the corruption that's been going on in the world. You don't want to stand in line with that. You just don't, and you can't go back, and you've made that choice, and whatever you're doing in the here and now, you're doing the best that you possibly can. And today, whatever happened today, tomorrow's another day. I'm excited to see now, oh well, which way is this going to go now, with no expectation, because I learned my lesson today. So so thank you everyone for listening. I love Marie. Support her. She's just a beautiful soul. I love you. You're so you are blossoming, and you are just glowing. And I'd like to do regulars, and with you, myself, and Greg should do one as well. I think it'd be nice. He's always got so much positivity, and people love him as well.
Beautiful. We trust the plan. We know the answer. God wins, and it's just a timeline piece. And I love you too, Alpa. Thank you for everything you're up to. You're such a star. You know that. We love you. We love you. We love you.
Bye-bye.
Let's see you soon. I love you, honey. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
I love you, sweetie.